po yung gusto po nating liwanagin, kaya nga po tayo ay humihingi po ng pag-amyenda sapagkat nakikita po natin, mahal na Ginoong Pangulo, na sa panahon po ngayon, mas marami na pong fake news. Natatalo na po ng fake news ang mga tunay na dapat ay ibinabalita at ipinararating ng gobyerno sa taong bayan. Katulad po nung isang beses, narinig po natin ang ating kasama na si Senator J.B. Ejercito, sinabi din po niya na yung patungkol po sa Universal Health Law na hindi din po alam ng taong bayan ang patungkol dito. Nakakalungkot po yun, mahal na Ginoong Pangulo, na hindi po natin bibigyan ng bagong jurisdiction ang ating pong public information sapagkat sa ngayon po, mahal na Pangulo, umaasa na lang po ang taong bayan sa kung sino-sinong mga vlogger na nagsasalita sa social media, yun na po ang kanilang pinaniniwalaan.
Mr. President, trying or spreading lies, coming up with a totally absurd, ridiculous information, then dapat magkaroon ng pananagutan ang mga ito. Because, Mr. President, I commiserate with our colleague kasi I think lahat naman tayo na natatamaan ng mga kung sino-sinong vloggers or media outfits. Yung iba nga po, kahit mainstream, Mr. President, kahit mainstream, hindi naman natin sasabihin, lahat laging katotohanan.
Official acts. Ginoong Pangulo, kapag tayo po ang nagpapatawag ng hearing dito po sa Committee on Public Information, nakakalungkot po, ang lagi pong sinasagot sa amin ng mga taga-gobyerno, hindi, nag-hearing na kami doon sa isang committee, hindi na kami pupunta dyan.
Imagine a media outlet that would say, for example Mr. President, natalo yung UST sa UAAP, kasalanan ni Joel Villanueva. But that's the headline, Mr. President. Bigyan ka ng mas malalim na topic, Mr. President, or I'm sorry for the word, mas bastos, Mr. President, para lang mag-clickbait, kunyari, Mr. President, and walang pananagutan, Mr. President.
There is a request to suspend, but before we suspend, should the chair grant it, so that the period of suspension will be productive, can I also ask that during the period of suspension, can we find out ano ba talaga, compliant or non-compliant? Because there's a claim na may non-compliant, the Senate President says they are all compliant, informed by the Secretariat. So may we know the real factual status, no? Because if I remember correctly, merong mga technical requirements na provided by the DPWH na hindi ata na-comply. But ang justification on, since this is action of Congress, we can choose to create and not comply. But before Congress approves, may member na nagtatanong which are non-compliant with the technical requirements. So let's make the period of suspension productive, Mr. President, by finding out.
To clarify,
In the President's veto message nito pong nakaraang March, may mga local bills po na vinito ng Pangulo. At doon po sa veto message ng ating Pangulo, naka-highlight po doon, Mr. President, and I quote, "The importance of faithful compliance with the functional criteria and technical requirements should not be wholly disregarded."
I just want to find out, I'm not going to delay the proceedings, I just want to find out, point of inquiry, what were the recent local bills that were vetoed by the President? Maybe be informed by the Majority Leader. Maybe you can ask for a minute suspension just to ask. So just be clarified. Are there also creations of districts, engineering districts? Maybe find out, please.
yes.
So that's all I'm saying, Mr. President. And again, I am here to make sure that my vote will matter and that I would do my best in ensuring that I know everything and the information is available, unlike before.
Senate
There is a request to suspend, but before we suspend, should the chair grant it, so that the period of suspension will be productive, can I also ask that during the period of suspension, can we find out ano ba talaga, compliant or non-compliant? Because there's a claim na may non-compliant, the Senate President says they are all compliant, informed by the Secretariat. So may we know the real factual status, no? Because if I remember correctly, merong mga technical requirements na provided by the DPWH na hindi ata na-comply. But ang justification on, since this is action of Congress, we can choose to create and not comply. But before Congress approves, may member na nagtatanong which are non-compliant with the technical requirements. So let's make the period of suspension productive, Mr. President, by finding out.
To clarify,
Yes, meron din po kasing, Mr. President, meron din kasing technical requirements dyan eh. So, yun lang yung tanong. May yun yung tanong kasi there is a claim na, can we just find out during the period of suspension? Anyway, isususpend nyo rin po yata. So,
before suspending, let me just say this on the record. We approved this on second reading. It went through the committee. The committee secretary, and this is a new creation, under the Rules Committee of then Majority Floor Leader Joel Villanueva, that all bills, even if approved by the committee, have to pass through the metal, which is a good system of the committee through the bills and index. And it did pass through the metal, not only in the committee, not only in the review of the bills and index, but also by the body on second reading. This is the third time we will be asking about all those questions. I will suspend the session for that, but kindly just note the process that it has gone through already. Session suspended.
Mr. President,
No, that's the reason why we had the focus.
Mr. President, our colleague, the gentleman from Nueva Ecija, the Honorable Senator Robin Hood Padilla, is seeking the floor to deliver a manifestation, Mr. President. May he be recognized.
Senator Padilla is recognized.
Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo, at sa ating pong pinunong mayorya. Ito po ay point of inquiry lamang. Meron lamang po akong sanang gustong idulog sa kapulungan upang mabigyan po ng kaliwanagan. Ito po ay bunsod ng mga resolusyon na inihain ng inyong abang lingkod upang talakayin sa ilalim ng komiting aking pinamumunuan ang Public Information and Mass Media. Meron po akong serye ng mga resolusyon na nagmumungkahi po ng mga pagdinig patungkol sa mga mahalagang issue na sa aking paniniwala ay dapat nagkakaroon ng malawakang talakayan at information dissemination para sa ating mga kababayan. Ngunit sa kasamaang palad po, hindi po ito nare-refer sa Public Information and Mass Media o di kaya ay nagiging secondary committee lamang po ang sa amin. Hayaan po ninyong nga po yung gusto po nating liwanagin, kaya nga po tayo ay humihingi po ng pag-amyenda sapagkat nakikita po natin, mahal na Ginoong Pangulo, na sa panahon po ngayon, mas marami na pong fake news. Natatalo na po ng fake news ang mga tunay na dapat ay ibinabalita at ipinararating ng gobyerno sa taong bayan. Katulad po nung isang beses, narinig po natin ang ating kasama na si Senator J.B. Ejercito, sinabi din po niya na yung patungkol po sa Universal Health Law na hindi din po alam ng taong bayan ang patungkol dito. Nakakalungkot po yun, mahal na Ginoong Pangulo, na hindi po natin bibigyan ng bagong jurisdiction ang ating pong public information sapagkat sa ngayon po, mahal na Pangulo, umaasa na lang po ang taong bayan sa kung sino-sinong mga vlogger na nagsasalita sa social media, yun na po ang kanilang pinaniniwalaan.
Clearly, Mr. President, trying or spreading lies, coming up with a totally absurd, ridiculous information, then dapat magkaroon ng pananagutan ang mga ito. Because, Mr. President, I commiserate with our colleague kasi I think lahat naman ho tayo na natatamaan ng mga kung sino-sinong vloggers or media outfits. Yung iba nga po, kahit mainstream, Mr. President, kahit mainstream, hindi naman natin sasabihin lahat, laging katotohanan.
Official acts. Ginoong Pangulo, kapag tayo po ang nagpapatawag ng hearing dito po sa Committee on Public Information, nakakalungkot po, ang lagi pong sinasagot sa amin ng mga taga-gobyerno, hindi, nag-hearing na kami doon sa isang committee, hindi na kami pupunta dyan.
Imagine a media outlet that would say, for example, Mr. President, natalo yung UST sa UAAP. Kasalanan ni Joel Villanueva. But that's the headline, Mr. President. Bigyan ka ng mas malalim na topic, Mr. President, or I'm sorry for the word, mas bastos, Mr. President, para lang mag-clickbait, kunyari, Mr. President, and walang pananagutan, Mr. President.
There is a request to suspend, but before we suspend, should the chair grant it, so that the period of suspension will be productive. Can I also ask that during the period of suspension, can we find out ano ba talaga, compliant or non-compliant? Because there's a claim na may non-compliant. The Senate President says they are all compliant, informed by the Secretariat. So may we know the real factual status, no? Because if I remember correctly, meron nga mga technical requirements na provided by the DPWH na hindi ata na-comply. But ang justification on, since this is action of Congress, we can choose to create and not comply. But before Congress approves, may member na nagtatanong which are non-compliant with the technical requirements. So let's make the period of suspension productive, Mr. President, by finding
To
out.
clarify, my
In the President's veto message, nito pong nakaraang March, may mga local bills po na binito ng Pangulo. At doon po sa veto message ng ating Pangulo, naka-highlight po doon, Mr. President, and I quote, "The importance of faithful compliance with the functional criteria and technical requirements should not be wholly disregarded."
I just want to find out, I'm not going to delay the proceedings, I just want to find out, point of inquiry, what were the recent local bills that were vetoed by the President? Maybe be informed by the Majority Leader. Maybe you can ask for a minute suspension just to ask. So just be clarified, are there also creations of districts, engineering districts? Maybe find out, please.
yes.
So that's all I'm saying, Mr. President. And again, I am here to make sure that my vote will matter and that I would do my best in ensuring that I know everything and the information is available, unlike before.
Senate, the
There
minority
is
leader
a request to suspend, but before we suspend, should the chair grant it, so that the period of suspension will be productive, can I also ask that during the period of suspension, can we find out ano ba talaga, compliant or non-compliant? Because there's a claim na may non-compliant, the Senate President says they are all compliant, informed by the Secretariat. So may we know the real factual status, no? Because if I remember correctly, meron nga mga technical requirements na provided by the DPWH na hindi ata na-comply. But ang justification on, since this is action of Congress, we can choose to create and not comply. But before Congress approves, may member na nagtatanong which are non-compliant with the technical requirements. So let's make the period of suspension productive, Mr. President, by finding
To clarify, my
Yes, meron din po kasing, Mr. President, meron din kasing technical requirements dyan eh. So, yun lang yung tanong. May yun yung tanong kasi there is a claim na, can we just find out during the period of suspension? Anyway, isususpend nyo rin po yata eh. So,
before suspending, let me just say this on the record. We approved this on second reading. It went through the committee. The committee secretary, and this is a new creation, under the Rules Committee of then Majority Floor Leader Joel Villanueva, that all bills, even if approved by the committee, have to pass through the metal, which is a good system of the committee through the Bills and Index. And it did pass through the metal, not only in the committee, not only in the review of the Bills and Index, but also by the body on second reading. This is the third time we will be asking if at all those questions. I will suspend the session for that, but kindly just note the process that it has gone through already. Session suspended.
Mr. President,
suspended na.
No, that's the reason why we had the focus eh.
Mr. President, our colleague, the gentleman from Nueva Ecija, the Honorable Senator Robin Hood Padilla, is seeking the floor to deliver a manifestation, Mr. President. May he be recognized.
Senator Padilla is recognized.
Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo, at sa ating pong pinunong mayorya. Ito po ay point of inquiry lamang. Meron lamang po akong sanang gustong idulog sa kapulungan upang mabigyan po ng kaliwanagan. Ito po ay bunsod ng mga resolusyon na inihain ng inyong abang lingkod upang talakayin sa ilalim ng komiting aking pinamumunuan ang Public Information and Mass Media. Meron po akong serye ng mga resolusyon na nagmumungkahi po ng mga pagdinig patungkol sa mga mahalagang issue na sa aking paniniwala ay dapat nagkakaroon ng malawakang talakayan at information dissemination para sa ating mga kababayan. Ngunit sa kasamaang palad po, hindi po ito nare-refer sa Public Information and Mass Media. o di kaya ay nagiging secondary committee lamang po ang sa amin. Hayaan po ninyong basahin ko ang Section 28, Rule 10 ng Rules of the Senate. Ito po ang jurisdiction ng committee. All matters relating to public information, mass communication, and broadcast services, the implementation of the provision of the Constitution regarding ownership and management of mass media and the advertising industry, the development and promotion of information technology, and all matters relating to the artistic standards and quality of the motion picture and television industry. Nais ko pong mabigyan linaw kung ano ang definisyon at limitasyon ng public information sa konteksto po ng mandato ng Committee on Public Information and Mass Media. Batid naman po natin ang napakahalagang papel ng pampublikong impormasyon pagdating sa pagtataguyod ng mabuting pamamahala o good governance. Critical po sa ating pamumuno na siguruhin nararamdaman ng ating mga kababayan ang mga programa at proyekto ng gobyerno tungkol sa mga importanteng paksa. Ngunit, paano po nila ito mararamdaman kung una pa lamang ay hindi naman nila naiintindihan ang ating mga ginagawa? Dahil po sa hindi malinaw na definisyon ng public information, nais ko po sanang maghain ng kaukulang amyenda sa tamang panahon tungkol sa jurisdiction ng Committee on Public Information and Mass Media. Yun lamang po, Ginoong Pangulo. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Senator Padilla. The Majority Leader wants to respond.
Thank you, Mr. President. The manifestation of Senator Padilla will be referred to the Committee on Rules as appropriate. Mr. President,
If I may add, sa pagkakalam ko po, Senator Padilla, sa pagkakausap ko rito sa ating Secretariat, yung mga iba po yung panukalang batas na inahin, katulad nung meron yata pinag-usapan tungkol sa balikatan, ay nararapat lang yata na i-refer sa pangunahing komite ng Committee on National Defense. At secondary committee lang po ang inyong komite, yung Committee on Public Information. Gayon din ang mga patungkol sa climate change, ang pangunahing committee po ay ang environment, tama? Environment and Natural Resources. Ang pangalawang secondary committee po, yung inyong committee, yung Committee on Public Information. Yan po ay sinasabi po ng ating Secretariat.
Opo, mahal na Ginoong Pangulo. Yun nga po yung gusto po nating liwanagin. Kaya nga po tayo ay humihingi po ng pag-amyenda sapagkat nakikita po natin, mahal na Ginoong Pangulo, na sa panahon po ngayon, mas marami na pong fake news. Natatalo na po ng fake news ang mga tunay na dapat ay ibinabalita at ipinararating ng gobyerno sa taong bayan. Katulad po nung isang beses, narinig po natin ang ating kasama na si Senator J.B. Ejercito, sinabi din po niya na yung patungkol po sa Universal Health Law na hindi din po alam ng taong bayan ang patungkol dito. Nakakalungkot po yun, mahal na Ginoong Pangulo, na hindi po natin bibigyan ng bagong jurisdiction ang ating pong public information sapagkat sa ngayon po, mahal na Pangulo, umaasa na lang po ang taong bayan sa kung sino-sinong mga vlogger na nagsasalita sa social media, yun na po ang kanilang pinaniniwalaan. Ang hinihingi lang po natin, mahal na Ginoong Pangulo, na magkaroon po ng talakayan patungkol po dito sa mandato ng ating pong Committee on Public Information. Yun lamang po, Ginoong Pangulo, marami pong salamat po.
Maraming salamat po, Senator Padilla.
Mr. President, if I may, Mr. President.
Senator
Just a
Villar.
very short manifestation and in connection to the statements made by our distinguished colleague, I think it's about time, Mr. President, that we look into all this proliferation of fake news. I remember last Congress we filed a bill regarding anti-fake news bill. I think it is important to note na kung ang impormasyon ay mali, mapatunayang mali, ngunit ang intensyon ay tama, Mr. President, madali mo ma-justify. But if it is clearly, Mr. President, trying or spreading lies, coming up with a totally absurd, ridiculous information, then dapat magkaroon ng pananagutan ang mga ito. Because, Mr. President, I commiserate with our colleague kasi I think lahat naman ho tayo na natatamaan ng mga kung sino-sinong vloggers or media outfits. Yung iba nga po, kahit mainstream, Mr. President, kahit mainstream, hindi naman natin sasabihin, laging katotohanan yung kanilang sinasabi. But I'm just concerned, Mr. President, doon sa pananagutan, yung word na pananagutan. Kasi, for example, Mr. President, can you imagine a media outlet that would say, for example, Mr. President, natalo yung UST sa UAAP, kasalanan ni Joel Villanueva. But that's the headline, Mr. President. Bigyan ka ng mas malalim na topic, Mr. President, or I'm sorry for the word, mas bastos, Mr. President, para lang mag-clickbait, kunyari, Mr. President, and walang pananagutan, Mr. President. Zero accountability. I'm not even sure, Mr. President, if the kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas can actually do something about it, or are they actually doing its part to regulate, Mr. President, or at least have that oversight function, Mr. President. So I feel, Mr. President, that this is important considering na yung fake news, lalong-lalo na, ay laganap sa ating bayan. Just to put that on record, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Villanueva.
Apo, Ginoong Pangulo, bilang panghuli lamang po, gusto ko lamang pong ipaliwanag muli na malinaw po sa ating konstitusyon, dito po sa Section 7, ito po ang sinasabi dito, the right of the people to information on matters of public concern shall be recognized. Access to official records and to documents and papers pertaining to official acts. Ginoong Pangulo, kapag tayo po ang nagpapatawag ng hearing dito po sa Committee on Public Information, nakakalungkot po, ang lagi pong sinasagot sa amin ng mga taga-gobyerno, hindi, nag-hearing na kami doon sa isang committee, hindi na kami pupunta dyan. Yun po ang nakakalungkot, Ginoong Pangulo. Gusto ko lamang pong ipaalala muli sa lahat na wala pong pinakamataas na batas kundi ang konstitusyon. At ang konstitusyon po, sinasabi, maliwanag ang kapangyarihan ng public information. Yun lamang po. Maraming salamat po uli, Ginoong
Thank you,
Pangulo.
Senator Padilla. And Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we resume consideration of Senate Bill number 2555 under Committee Report number 191. This is the bill amending the Motorcycle Crime Prevention Act. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
The parliamentary status of the measure, Mr. President, is that we have closed the period of committee amendments, and with the consent of the body, I move to open the period of individual amendments, and that I may be recognized as well, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Yes, Senator Padilla.
Sir, meron lang po akong gustong itanong sa atin pong madyo. Mr. President, kanino po natin to i-refer?
Mr. President, to the Committee on Rules, taking into consideration the previous manifestation by the Senate President Pro Temp that the Committee on Justice, Committee on Defense, likewise be given the opportunity to take part in the committee hearings as the primary committee, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. President.
Yes, you are correct. Senator Padilla.
Hindi po ba pag-uusapan muna yung amenda natin na madyo? Ginoong Pangulo, hindi po ba natin pag-uusapan muna ito sa Committee on Rules para kung amendahan natin yung ating Pwede po mag-request po ng 1 minute suspension lang ako.
Session suspended for a minute.
Consideration. Yes. My colleague my kababayan from Cavite is seeking the floor, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I would like to be satisfied, Mr. President, with the answers and explanation being given to us by the Majority Leader and the Senate President. I just wanted to put on record once again, Mr. President, hindi nga po compliant sila after mapasa natin yung second reading, kaya po doon sa caucus, sabi po, hindi natin ipapasa. So ang tanong ko lang naman po, kung nag-comply na po ba, nagbago na po ba? Because I'm sure when we had that meeting, we informed the stakeholders, especially the local authors, the congresspersons, that we indeed wanted them to comply with the requirements of the DPWH. The only reason, Mr. President, why I'm standing here today is so that I will be able to vote on the right path, Mr. President, na hindi magagalit ang ating mga kongresista, hindi rin magagalit ang ating ehekutibo. Mr. President, let me point out that in the President's veto message nito pong nakaraang March, may mga local bills po na binito ng Pangulo. At doon po sa veto message ng ating Pangulo, naka-highlight po doon, Mr. President, and I quote, "The importance of faithful compliance with the functional criteria and technical requirements should not be wholly disregarded. I just want to put that on record and caution our members. And if there is, Mr. President, indeed compliance on the part of these local bills, then I would vote for it. Thank you very much, especially
Thank
for
you.
understanding, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Villanueva. According to the Secretariat, they are in compliance. And for the information of the body and our invited guests as well, we did not change anyone from the officers of the Senate, from the Secretary, from the Deputy Secretary, which we cannot, the Sergeant at Arms, we did not change anything. So it's the same procedures during the term of the good gentleman from Bulacan when he was chairman of the Rules Committee that we are adopting since it was a good system to follow too.
Yes.
Senate President Zubiri is
Yes, with the
recognized.
permission of the Majority Floor Leader. Yes, Senate President. I just want to find out, I'm not going to delay the proceedings, I just want to find out, point of inquiry, what were the recent local bills that were vetoed by the President? Maybe be informed by the Majority Leader. Maybe you can ask for a minute suspension just to ask. So just be clarified, are there also creations of districts, engineering districts? Maybe find out, please.
Yes.
For the record.
Before suspending, Chair would like to place on record my view that I think we are seeing a healthy system of checks and balances whether there's a veto or not. If at all that it's the first time some measures are being vetoed, then that means that Congress is independent of the executive. Na hindi nag-uusap, hindi nagkukonsyabahan, kaya may nabivito eh. Sa totoo lang, sa mahabang panahon, alam niya nung mga matagal na sa Senado, walang nabivito na measure. Kasi masipag tumutok sa mga panukalang batas ang PLLO at bago pa mapasa, na ibibigay na yung pahayag at opinion ng executive bago pa man maging third reading. Ngayon, na may mga batas na panukalang batas na nabivito, patunay na hindi na didiktahan ng ehekutibo ang Kamara at ang Kamara may sariling panindigan at pananaw kung ano yung mga dapat maging batas. Hindi lang sumasang-ayon ang ehekutibo kaya binivito niya. May I get the list, ma'am?
I have here with me, Mr. President, if I may. I can share it with the body, Mr. President. HB number 1028, an act converting the Sawang Macalas Road in the municipality of Romblon, province of Romblon, into a national road and appropriating funds therefore. HB number 1029, an act converting the road stretching from Barangay Tugis, municipality of Odyongan to Barangay Tugdan, municipality of Alcantara, all in the province of Romblon into a national road and appropriating funds therefore. HB number 1030, an act converting the road stretching from Sitio Bolinganay, Barangay Panique, municipality of Odyongan to Sitio Cabaliwan, Barangay Batchawan, municipality of San Agustin in the province of Romblon. HB number 1031, an act converting the Sablayan Agpanabat Bagakay Road, a section of the Romblon Circumferential Road into a national road and appropriating funds therefore. Mr. President, may I just put on record, I agree with the veto message of the President when it mentioned that these measures did not comply with the functional criteria and technical requirements. I feel bad that I vote for it and I didn't get the chance to check on whether or not they complied. And that is why in the all members caucus last time, we made mention that we will comply this time and make sure that these local bills that we're going to tackle and put on third reading have actually complied with the requirements. So that's all I'm saying, Mr. President. And again, I am here to make sure that my vote will matter and that I would do my best in ensuring that I know everything and the information is available, unlike before, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President.
Prior to recognizing the minority floor leader, I assured the good gentleman from Bulacan that none of the bills we will be approving on third reading pertain to road conversion.
If I may add, yes, Mr.
Not a single one. Senate
There
minority floor leader
is a request to suspend, but before we suspend, should the chair grant it, so that the period of suspension will be productive, can I also ask that during the period of suspension, can we find out ano ba talaga, compliant or non-compliant? Because there's a claim na may non-compliant, the Senate President says they are all compliant, have informed by the Secretariat. So may we know the real factual status, no? Because if I remember correctly, meron nga mga technical requirements na provided by the DPWH na hindi ata na-comply. But ang justification on, since this is action of Congress, We can choose to create and not comply. But question, before Congress approves, may member na nagtatanong which are non-compliant with the technical requirements. So let's make the period of suspension productive, Mr. President, by finding
To
out.
clarify, Minority Leader, if I get it correctly as well, mention was made about compliance with requirements, how long the road is,
Yes,
how
yes.
wide the road is, and the veto of the President. All of these, Minority Floor Leader, in my response to the gentleman from Bulacan, pertain to conversion of roads. We are not approving any conversion of roads in the bills we will be approving on third reading. We are approving mostly creation of
Yes, meron din po kasing, Mr. President, meron din kasing technical requirements dyan eh. So, yun lang yung tanong. May yun yung tanong kasi there is a claim na, can we just find out during the period of suspension? Anyway, isususpend nyo rin po yata eh. So, when,
before suspending, let me just say this on the record. We approved this on second reading. It went through the committee. The committee secretary, and this is a new creation, under the Rules Committee of then Majority Floor Leader Joel Villanueva, that all bills, even if approved by the committee, have to pass through the metal, which is a good system of the committee through the bills and index. And it did pass through the metal, not only in the committee, not only in the review of the bills and index, but also by the body on second reading. This is the third time we will be asking if at all those questions. I will suspend the session for that, but kindly just note the process that it has gone through already. Session suspended.
suspended na.
That's the reason why we had the opposite. Very much, Mr. President, for that very important information that you gave us, Mr. President, that would guide each and every one of us in voting for third reading. With that, Mr. President, considering that House Bill number 7553 and House Bill number 8133 complied with the requirements set forth by the Department of Public Works and Highways, I would move, Mr. President, that we take these two bills up initially, and I would like to put on record that I am voting for it in compliance with the veto message also given to us by no less than our President, President Bongbong Marcos. Thank you,
The
Mr.
points
President.
of the good gentleman from Bulacan are well taken. Majority Leader is directed to proceed with the third reading only of House Bill number 7553 and House Bill number 8133.
My dear Senate President. if I may.
Yes, Senate President Zubiri?
Yes, and not to rain on the parade of the other congressmen that are trying to pass their engineering districts, maybe we could just withhold approval on third reading of the rest until they're compliant. And once the DPWH writes us, maybe in a month's time, in 2 months' time, that they're compliant, we can take it up again for third reading, if that's possible.
Of course, that is possible, Senate President Zubiri, because all we're doing is deferring third reading approval. It will remain with the Secretariat, and as soon as it is compliant,
Yeah.
we will schedule it for third reading approval. I first have to bang the gavel with my order. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, before I move for a suspension, Mr. President, I still maintain my submission that no amount of administrative circular, administrative order emanating from an executive agency can curtail the plenary powers of the Congress, Mr. President. And number two, even if executive orders were issued, they cannot be given retroactive effect to supplant the powers of Congress. My submission should be placed on the record, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move for a
Thank you,
minute
Mr.
suspension.
President. May I
Duly,
just put on record, Mr. President, that I totally agree with the 2 points raised by the Majority Leader. I totally agree and I support his position, Mr. President. Thank you.
Duly noted the remarks of both gentlemen, but at the end of the day, it is the plenary of the Senate that is absolute and has supreme power to decide on these matters, and we have so decided already. Senator Cayetano, gentleman from Taguig, you may proceed, sir.
Just to agree with the Senate President and to amend the proposal of the former Senate President that we withhold action until they comply or they justify. Because, Mr. President, there are 2 kinds of rules. Policy, which we can override with legislation, and then, for example, if it violates the Constitution, we cannot override that. So I'll give you an example. When we were young congressmen, Senator Subiri, yourself, and me, I think you could not pass a law creating a school unless it's 5,000 square meters lot area available. But in Metro Manila, there were a lot of needs for schools na wala ng 5,000 square. So pinayagan through law, despite the objection of DepEd. So DepEd objected as to a technicality na 3,000 square lang yan, 4,000. But the congressman justified it that, no, we will build 5 stories, 10 stories. So just an example that is clear here. Batanes has a engineering district. If Batanes was applying now, it would not qualify sa dami ng roads. But because it was able to justify na malayo kami, and just to clarify, no, I think we're all in agreement now, but just to clarify that there are certain situations that the requirements of the committee itself or the House or the department, we are not disregarding it, but we are overruling it if we consciously do it that way. So we may either ask them to submit as is or consciously disregard it if there are justifying reasons, for as long as we're not violating the Constitution or other laws. Thank you, Mr.
The
President.
remarks and observations of the good gentleman are well taken and duly noted.
Mr. President,
Majority Floor Leader.
to add one-liner to the comment of the good gentleman from Taguig.
Senator Jingo Estrada is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, it has come to my attention and the attention of our colleagues here in this August chamber that a certain head of an agency of the Department of Tourism has incessantly texted several of our colleagues, including the Senate President, including the Deputy Minority Leader, and I guess it's Senator Pia Cayetano, telling us or lecturing us to stop asking questions because according to those to that department head, she has been here waiting. She has been here since 1 o'clock, waiting for their agency to be waiting for the budget of their agency to be deliberated upon. And may I call the attention of Miss Cynthia Corion that we've been here working at 9 o'clock in the morning, waiting for all departments' budget, the budget of the departments to be deliberated upon. We are doing our job, and no one has the right to tell us to stop talking here. It is our duty and our job to perform our work here in the Senate. And you do not have the right to tell us what to do here. Imagine telling the Senate President, we've been here at 1 o'clock waiting for DOTC's budget to be heard. We've been working since last week, deliberating on all the budgets of the departments here. And telling the Deputy Minority Leader to stop asking questions. Kami nga, kahit matagal magtanong si Senator Risa, we never dared to ask her to stop asking questions. Who are you? Who are you to tell us to stop asking questions? Remember, if one of us tells the sponsor to defer the budget of DOT, what will happen to you? You cannot do anything. You cannot do anything here. If I move to defer your budget or to slash the budget of DOT because of your actuations and because of your actions towards my colleagues here, what will happen to the budget of DOT? Imagine, even Senator Pia Cayetano, you've been texting her even before. That's what I heard from her regarding EJ Obiena's performance. She's a senator, she's a lawyer, she knows what to do. She's a senior member here in this August chamber. You've been a member of PSC, am I right? So you know how the budget runs here in the Senate or even in Congress. You know, we spend wee hours of the morning here. Am I correct? And why are you complaining? The secretary is not complaining. She's a neophyte secretary. She never complained. Who are you to complain? The secretary is a good friend of all senators here. She never complained. Kahit siguro alas 3 na ma-hear yung budget ng DOT, hindi magre-reklamo yan. Because she knows what's happening here in Congress or in the Senate in particular. I think our colleagues, they deserve an apology from you. If the majority leader, the Senate President, will allow us to suspend the rules and
Yes, actually, just to put it in proper perspective, my dear colleagues, for the information of the departments, we're just doing our constitutional mandate of hearing all the budgets and asking diligently where the funds are being utilized. We have no right to stop any member of the Senate to ask questions, propose amendments, and as Senate President, I will never do that to any of you. So it was very surprising that this person, Ma'am Cynthia, who's a friend of mine, we're family friends. And if it was just me, I would just let go of it. But when I heard that you were texting other members of the Senate, particularly more insulting messages to Senator Risa Ontiveros, to stop asking the budget already of the DNR because, you want to take over, you want the DOT to be next in line. That is not proper. That is inappropriate. And I think the sad part about it is she does not know you from Adam. So it's like a text it's like a angry text message from an anonymous person, which is, again, as I mentioned, inappropriate. And so I would like to ask the Majority Floor Leader and the body to allow, please, before I do the motion, to allow to suspend the rules so that she may address us if she wants to apologize or not, because it is quite insulting to the members of the Senate. And we're not doing this to trample on anyone's rights. It's just that we are all working very hard. And the good gentleman from San Juan is absolutely correct. We've been here in the morning and we've been doing this for the last week. This is our 8th day. Our 7th or 6th day of doing this at going home at 2 in the morning. 8th day? It's our 8th day. My apologies. And we've done almost all departments. So my colleagues don't deserve that. My colleagues, never mind me. You can insult me, you can get mad at me. But my colleagues do not deserve that treatment from members of the government who are actually trying to sponsor their budgets. And so before I make a motion,
Before I recognize our Deputy Minority Leader, I did not get any text from this certain head of the agency of PRA, Mr. President. But I just wanted to put on record my utmost disgust, dismay, and disappointment, especially coming from a fellow government official. Mr. President, I take offense. Even though I did not get the text, I take offense being a member of this institution. And I joined the gentleman from San Juan and our Senate President and remind our colleagues, not only in this August chamber, but also every single government official. Mr. President, I haven't seen my kids and my wife for so many days, for more than a week now. Senator Jinggoy's wife is celebrating her birthday today. He couldn't even go home. And then someone from a public official would dare to question our duties and responsibilities, our work here in the Senate. It's unacceptable, Mr. President. So even if the distinguished head of PRA is not willing to answer or apologize, I think we should hear from her, Mr. President. What she wants, what she wanted to happen, how she think this Senate as an institution would be better if we will succumb to whatever she wants, Mr. President. So, Mr. President, with that, I will support any motion to suspend the rules, if there be. But for the meantime, we will yield the floor to our Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Risa Ontiveros.
our Deputy Minority Floor Leader is recognized.
Salamat kaayo, Mr. President. Ug daghang salamat, Mr. President. Maraming salamat kina Senator Jinggoy, Senator Nancy, who took immediate action on this when I brought it to her attention, to Senator Pia, the Majority Leader, all colleagues who came together this midnight to make things right. Sa huli kasi, higit sa lahat tungkol ito sa respeto. Kasi hindi po tayo gumagamit ng sense of entitlement. Ginagawa lang natin at ginagawa namin dito sa Senado ang aming tungkulin, ang aming mandato. I am a member of the minority, a proud member of the minority, and I take offense if our modest Senate President will not, at the Senate President of our institution being texted such messages. Salamat kaayo to Sec Frasco for her apology and the apology as well of another official of the DOT who met us in front near the lounge. I heard the apology of the person concerned, but I think moving forward, words must be followed by action. Pagwasto sa ginawa niya, hindi lang sa ilang individual natin, pero sa buong institusyon natin. So I hope things can be set right in the next days. At hindi lamang sa Senado, pati sa publiko na sumusubaybay sa trabaho namin over the past 2 weeks. They at least, I think, appreciate the seriousness with which we do our work. Ano man ang oras, gaano man kami, kapagod o hindi pagod. Dahil sa huli, higit sa lahat, tungkol sa respeto at ang respetong binibigay ng mga senador sa aming trabaho. Salamat kaayo, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minority Floor Leader Rizal Tiveros. So, if the body wishes, and I believe the body wishes, we move to, with the permission of the body, we move to suspend the rules and ask her if she has anything else to say to talk.
Para ang PAMBI ay payagan na mag-classify ng multi-use sa isang strictly protected area, kailangan, ito na po yung mention nyo kanina, Madam Sponsor, members of the PAMBI Board, which consists of DNR Regional Director, Governor, Senator of the Republic of the Philippines who is duly registered resident of the province, district representative of the congressional district, mayors, chairperson of barangay, regional directors, DA, NEDA, DOST, DND, 3 representatives from NGO or PO, 1 but not more than 3 representatives from IPs, ICCs, and then 1 representative from the academic institution, and finally, 1 representative from the private sector. Now, gusto ko po malaman kung nasunod po ba ito na itong lahat ng nakasulat dito sa Section 11 ng Republic Act 11038, 2018 as amended ng INIPAS, kung nasunod po ito ng pagbigay po ng multi-use ng DNR sa wind farm na Bernas Energy. Bena Energy. Kung nasunod po.
Nandiyan daw po lahat yan nung magbigay ng permit.
Well, can I see the list kung sino tong 11 na ito na pumayag na
Yeah, we will
ma-exploit po yung ating environment doon po sa Masungi?
Sa amin, yung mga local mahilig.
I need the list of those people na pumayag na i-exploit natin itong tinatawag nating Masungi Conservation Area na which is declared as a strictly protected area. So itong 11 members na nag-sign, members of the board sa PAMBI allowing exploitation of Masungi, I need a list of those people and their signatures. And very important to me is yung pong IPs. Meron po bang pumirma na IPs?
Meron ba?
Meron? I need a list and I need
They will submit to you those who signed.
But right now,
Kasi pero ho yan, I'm warning you that yan, majority wins. Di ba? Kahit na hindi pumirman lahat, kung majority pumirma, panalo yun. Oh.
I know. Pero ang selection process niyo kailangan meron pong IPs.
Ayun, pinafollow.
Kaya nga, paano po sinelect yung IPs? May I know?
Oh.
From the experts?
Baka hindi naman pumirma yung IPs. Alam nyo, miski IPs, naaano din yan eh. Nai-influence din yan eh.
Ay, dapat hindi.
Ay nako, tell it to the Marines.
Sorry. Tell it to the Marines. Dapat hindi po. Kasi kawawa na po yung mga IPs.
sa
Kulang nga po-
legislated protected area,
Yeah.
nangyayari yan. Yung mga barangay na i-influence eh.
Kawawa naman po yung mga IPs. Kulang nga po sa pinag-aralan, kulang po sa kaalaman. And then i-exploit po natin because we're saying na madali silang ma-influensyahan. Dapat we try to help them to make sure that they will not be easily influenced so that gagawin po nila po anong tama para sa kanilang proteksyon.
Oo nga, hindi siya maniwala na yung IPs hindi pumirma. Kaya huwag mo na sabihin sa akin, ako, alam kong pwede yun. Pero siya, ayaw niya. Kaya sige, yun na kung sino yung pumirma. Diba?
I'll help you. Would you mind if I'll help you?
Yeah, you're very welcome, Mr.
Okay.
President.
Kasi bago po mapili ang isa o dalawa o tatlong IPs na sumama po sa PAMBI sa selection process. Number 1, dumadaan yan sa Indigenous Political Structure or IPS. Okay? Ano po yun? It consists of tribal leaders that have exclusive right na para magpadala po ng representative nila kung hindi sila mismo ang sumama doon sa PAMBI. Number 1. Number 2, dapat dumadaan po sa tinatawag na FPIC, Free and Prior Informed Consent. Process ito na ipapakita na itong IPs were not coerced and were not influenced, just like what the good sponsor said na madali na influence. Kaya nga pumapasok itong proseso to make sure na hindi po sila na-influence, hindi po sila na-coerce. Ito po yung FPIC. And finally, evidence to 1 and 2 I mentioned, dapat may certification precondition or CP documents from NCIP pirmado na nagkaroon ng tamang proseso at pumayag ang IPs community. In the absence of these 3, then invalid po yung pag-recruit nyo ng IPs para maging member ng PAMBI's board.
niya kasi influence. If, ano naman niya precondition na yun sa kanya. Kaya ano pinayag natin? Yes, diba? Ipakita mo na lang sa papeles para ma-convince niya. Kasi hindi natin yun yung may precondition notion na siya diba? Mr. President, we will just submit all the papers available to the DNR about the action of the PAMB. We just want to reassure you that it is not yet a permit to operate the windmill. It's just a study to find out the potential of the wind farm here in the legislated.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, good sponsor. Yes, I definitely agree with you. So, I need to see the CP.
Yes.
Certification of Precondition signed by the NCIP. Kahit na testing pa yan, kasi ang nakalagay sa batas, kahit na testing, dapat hindi. Doon sa mga lugar na merong issues sa ancestral domain. Kaya nga po dumadaan doon sa tatlong sinasabi kong steps. Without those, then invalid po yung mga nakapirmang IPs doon. So I need a copy of the CP na pirmado po ng NCIP. Because kanina lang po, tumawag ako sa NCIP, wala po silang pinipirmahan na CP allowing the exploration, the testing of anything whatsoever commercial doon po sa Masungi Conservation Area. Now, if you cannot show me CP, again, I will defer the budget of the DNR in favor of the IPs.
Can we defer? Do we have time to i-defer?
We'd like to recognize the next interpellator, Senator Rizzo Ontiveros. I move that she be recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. While the documents are being printed per the request of Senator Tulfo, we will hear the interpellation of Senator Rizzo Ontiveros unless just a minute, unless Senator Tulfo is willing to finish his interpellation pending the submission of the hard copy to him. Okay, Senator Tulfo still has the floor. Let me just clarify that the documents are being printed, but if you will be happy with the soft copy, I saw it, it's 80 pages, and the DNR is in possession of the documents you requested for.
That's it, including the CP?
Everything.
Madam President?
All the requirements that you said is contained in the 80-page document, which is being printed, but it would take a while, so we opted to hear the interpellations of Senator Ontiveros. However, if Your Honor would be happy to receive it after your interpellations, I assure you that I saw the soft copy with them, and it's being printed.
Okay. Madam President, this is what I think. Instead of deferring the budget, I will propose for the proper amendments to transfer funds to more deserving agencies, some funds from the DNR. Total, nabanggit po kanina na na-influence po yung mga IPs. So siguro mag-transfer tayo ng funds sa NBI para imbestigahan yung mga nag-influence sa IPs. So NLRC, Legal Education Board, DICT, and DMW. So kung pumayag po yung DNR, so hindi ko na po i-defer budget. Basta't pumayag din sila na magkaroon ng amendment para ma-transfer certain amount dun sa kanilang funds, dun sa mga agencies na binanggit ko. Sa DMW, DICT, NBI, Legal Education Board, and then NLRC.
Mr. President, in the budgetary process, each department has an amount and the list of programs. Your Honor mentioned many agencies, and perhaps it is our right to amend the budget, and you may submit it, but that is dependent on the subcommittee chair, Senator Villar, and the chairman of the Committee on Finance, and we could vote on it. Because number one, amounts must be made, not just mentioned in generality. And perhaps what programs of the DNR do you want to defund? Perhaps you could ask that of the subcommittee chair. So I understand where you're coming from. You may be frustrated with certain output of certain programs, and that's your prerogative. I've been through that also before. So perhaps you could mention the programs of the DNR that you think don't deserve the funding, and it is up to the chair of the subcommittee and the chair of the finance committee to agree to your recommendation.
I understand, Madam President. Yeah. So I would submit those amounts in the amendments that I would like, that I wish to be transferred to the agencies that I did mention. However, for now, yeah, if the DNR wishes to, they can submit to us, to me, copies of those documents that they said they're trying to research now, and they are going to show me, especially those last documents that I requested, the certification of precondition signed by the NCIP. Now, if they're saying na meron po silang ganon, then I need the person that will show me, the CP, na signed na NCIP, put that person under oath na yan ay valid documents, at kapag napatunayan na hindi valid yan, siya po'y makukulong, makakasuhan dahil I just spoke to the NCIP people, main office and regional offices, wala po silang ini-issue yung CP. Now, kung sinasabi, otherwise sinasabi ng DNR na meron, then let's see.
Yes, we recognize Senator Villar. Yes.
They were the DNR was saying that what the IP signed is to make the study. There is no permit yet to implement the project. So when you cannot ask for the NCIP commitment because that is given when there is a project. But ito parang permit lang to study the project. So ang pumirma lang yung IPs. Yung IP representative.
Kaya nga po, para makapagpirma ang isang IP representative, dumaan po dapat doon sa tatlong process na minention ko po. Number one, dapat may tinatawag na indigenous political structure. Tribal leaders po ang mag-assign, mag-designate kung sino ang allowed na mag-represent doon sa tribal group nila. Number two, meron po yung tinatawag na free and prior informed consent to make sure po na ito po yung process ng NCIP to make sure na itong IPs were not influenced and were not coerced. And then finally, dapat po meron pong evidence of 1 and 2 that really happened, certification of precondition. Ito po isang documentation from NCIP to make sure, to ensure na nagkaroon po ng tamang proseso, and this should be signed, na pumayag po yung IPs, and this document should be signed by the NCIP committee. Now, sabi niyo po, ang ginagawa ay testing pa lamang. Even though testing pa lamang, dapat po merong paalam sa mga IPs kahit testing pa lamang po yan.
Mr. President, it is not the power of the DNR to appoint the IPs or to see to it that the right IPs are represented in the PAMBI. It's the PAMBI who will decide if they will accept the representation of the IPs. So, hindi po natin marirequire ang DNR doon kasi may right ang PAMBI to choose kung sino ang magiging member ng PAMBIs. It's according to the law.
Madam President and the good sponsor, yes, kasi once na ginamit niyo po yung IPs, meron pong batas ang IPs sa pamagitan ng tribal group nila. You cannot just go to the IPs and approach them and say, hey, you, I want you to be...
No.
Kailangan po may proseso
So,
talaga.
ang sinasabi ng DNR, hindi sila magpo-provide ng information na yon, kundi yung PAMBI. Kasi sila yung nag-approve na ng member ng PAMBI.
Exactly.
So, the DNR cannot produce that document. It's the PAMBI.
Yes,
Of
Madam President.
the
The PAMBI,
Masungi.
yes, the PAMBI are the ones, base po dun sa batas na binanggit po kanina.
Kaso ang member ng PAMBI, hindi naman lang DNR. Marami. Oo, may local
but since
government.
there's an
may
issue,
NGO.
Madam President, good sponsor, since meron pong issue ng ancestral domain at ang IPs po dapat dito ay ginagalang, nirespeto, recognize. So kailangan po talaga kasama sila doon po sa pagbuo nitong PAMBI Board of Directors para doon sa isang project.
Opo.
Okay. Now, sabi ko dito, sabi sa batas ng IPs, dapat meron po tinatawag na selection process at dumadaan po yan sa IPS. Tribal leaders ang pumipili kung sino sa kanilang miyembro ang pwede, binibigyan ng authority ang pwedeng mag-witness o maging member ng PAMBI. Hindi po
PAMBI,
pwedeng basta-basta na po natin
hindi.
ituturo kung sino dyan sa protection po ito ng mga IPs kasi kayo na po mismo Mr. President, Madam President and your good sponsor, kayo po mismo nagsabi kanina, alam niyo naman yung IPs madaling ma-influence yan Kaya nga po we have this,
PAMBI,
Madam President,
power dyan,
Madam President,
hindi ang
Mr.
DNR. PAMBI.
Kaya nga po we have this.
Suspended. Maybe just request, well, of course, Your Honor, the sponsor, can we allow her please to continue? And we will give you all the time to ask a
No,
question.
Madam President, ako munang magsalita kasi I'm explaining Tinagaw niya po yung time.
And the compliance review is ongoing and they will report it to us and the President.
So while we are awaiting the 6 months from now, the projects are suspended in operations, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
The compliance to the law. Don't have suspension. It's
Yeah, but it has been suspended. Yeah, it has been suspended, and they will report to the president the compliance to the suspension. Kasi marami nagko-complain na parang hindi suspended yung certain areas in Manila Bay. So we have to inspect if they are really complying with the suspension order.
Thank you, thank you.
May I know how many reclamation projects are there in the entire country?
Not in the entire country. How many in the entire country? I know in Manila Bay and vicinity it's 22.
22?
the entire country, hindi ko nagdala.
Including that of...
Pero give me the idea. The whole country. Ang Manila Bay is 22. The whole country is what?
Whole country. Whole country.
Just an idea of the whole country. Yeah, they don't like submit. They want an idea.
And may I know, aside from Metro Manila, where are the... saan pa yung mga proyektos outside of Metro Manila?
Palawan. Ano? Major reclamation project 96.
In the entire country?
Or privately initiated projects 134.
134
Yung
all in all?
I mean by component or privately initiated projects. What's the difference between major and privately? Ano?
May mga ibang klaseng project, parang component, parang isa lang pa part lang siya, naging part ng project. Kaya major, po ang reclamation po yung objective. Ito naging incidental lang yung mga...
So the major is 96. Yung iba, parang part of incidental lang yon. So 96.
Alright, you mentioned earlier that the President suspended the reclamation project.
In Manila Bay.
Only in Manila Bay, not the entire country?
No.
Alright.
In Manila Bay.
May I know how many have been suspended
22.
sa Manila Bay?
All the 22.
All the
21.
22?
Why? Oh, but 22, sabi mo sinuspend lang 21. So in Manila Bay, it's 21 and it's all suspended. Okay, thank you. One is
walang
in
magawa?
Laguna Lake. Oh.
Bakit doon, meron yata kami nakita kanina, may nagde-dredge dyan.
Yun nga sinasabi ko eh.
I
May
think
complaint eh.
one of our colleagues here has a video showing that they're starting to
Lahat
dredge
na-observe yun kasi kitang-kita dito sa
Oh.
Senate eh, na may nagagawa eh.
There's activity on the side. It's supposed to be for maintenance. It's not dredging.
They said the activity is maintenance, not dredging. But they will double check. I-double check nyo kasi ang dami nagko-complain eh.
So, Madam Sponsor, when do you expect them to continue these projects after the study made?
After the study.
The compliance review
Mm.
submitted to the decisions that we are in.
Mm.
So we are now finishing the ones of the ongoing
Mhm.
submit na po for review.
They are studying the ones that are ongoing. Kasi yung iba hindi pa nasisimulan eh.
Yes,
Kaya hindi
those-
priority yon. Ang pinaprioritize nila, yun nasimulan na eh,
Yes,
what
yes,
they will do with them.
Those projects that were approved already by the Philippine
Marami
Reclamation Authority.
But yung iba, hindi sila nag-i-start. Yung ang pinaprioritize nila,
Yung mga
yung
merong
nag-start
notice to
na.
proceed. Yung mga merong
Oh,
notice to
yes,
proceed.
yes.
Yun ang mga nag-umpisa na. Okay, let me read to you yung mga ibang projects na nag-umpisa na. Yung Navotas City Coastal Bay Reclamation Project, has it started? Kasi meron ng conditional NTP or conditional notice to proceed. Has this started?
It says here, not yet been implemented, Navotas.
So, hindi pa nagsisimula. Alright, Manila Horizon. Meron ng notice to mobilize and notice
Horizon
to
Manila,
commence actual...
not yet been implemented.
Manila Horizon? Wala pa rin. Manila Waterfront City. Oh, ongoing, nakalagay.
Ongoing.
How many percent? Would you know?
Wala pang first. Free. Ito lang yung ongoing reclamation projects. I will enumerate the 265 Pasay Harbor City Reclamation Project, the 360-hectare Pasay Reclamation Project, the Manila Waterfront City Reclamation Project. Only itong
only three?
Manila Waterfront.
Manila Waterfront, Pasay.
Going na eh.
SM
Ongoing.
Reclamation
These are
Project.
the ongoing. Ito. So, bali tatlo. Tatlo. Sa 4A. This is which Bacoor? Wala pa Bacoor.
Hello? Hello? Bacolor, Las Piñas.
But at any rate, Madam Sponsor, Mr. President, lahat ito suspendido.
Kasi yung 90, nasa loob yun eh. Hindi yung part of Manila Bay. It's before Cavitex. Oh, so walang ginagawa beyond Cavitex. It's before Cavitex.
It's before the Cavitex.
Oh.
Or suspended.
Even dun sa inside beyond Cavitex, yung before Cavitex. Oo.
Including that suspended.
Suspended. Ang sa Bacoor lang, meron silang isinimulan before Cavitex. May maliit
So
doon.
pati sa Bacoor na suspended rin.
Oh, suspended din.
Okay, may I know what was the reason why the President suspended these projects? Did you recommend the suspension? Did the department recommend to the President the suspension of all reclamation
The
projects?
ECC were given, I was there, the ECC were given in a period of 1 year. Parang sa kanya, hindi na-study. Nagbigay ng ECC na hindi nag-study.
The former administration?
The former, yes. So parang sa kanya, we should study. I was
So do you
there
think- Do you think, Madam Sponsor, that these projects, especially those ongoing projects, will still continue?
It depends. If their study will prove that it's bad for the country or for Metro Manila, I think they will revise. Diba? So what the Secretary of DNR said that she has talked to the proponent and she has told them that they should be prepared to be revised if there's a need to revise.
What did they say? Did they agree? Kasi alam ko, itong mga nag-umpisa na, nag-google na ng malaking halaga, nag-umutang na sa bangko, kasi na-approve na sila noong nakarang administrasyon. And tapos bigla natigil. Siyempre, yung...
I'm doing a hearing on this in the Senate.
Yes.
And just like South Harbor, there are 8 reclamation in front of South Harbor. Do you think that is feasible? 8 reclamation in front of South Harbor. How will the boat go there?
Okay.
They say, just to add to that, there is an article, Your Honors, I just read about the complaints of the harbor officials of both ICTSI and North Harbor na tataas daw ang presyo ng cargo deliveries kasi they have to park farther away and then they have to navigate into canals to be able to go into the harbor.
Hindi, yung pilot fee nila, Mr. President, nagmahal na daw.
Correct.
Sinisingil sila, di ba, at a certain point of Manila Bay, that pilot will take over. Oh, and it has become very expensive for them.
Yes. I just read that article. I just wanted to confirm if it was true. So I think the
No, in the hearing, they said that.
They said that already. Okay.
Sa tingin niyo po ba itong pag-reclaim ng areas dito sa Manila Bay, will that contribute to flooding?
Of course.
Because
Just like the
you're standing
area.
in the claim area.
I have first-hand knowledge. In my area, there are 4 rivers going out to Manila Bay. Pag ni-reclaim nyo, walang dadaanan yung river namin. That's
Kasi
a personal
tayo-
na yun.
Nandito tayo sa Senado, we are standing on a reclaimed area. Yung Cultural Center, Folk Arts Center, PICC during the time of the late President Marcos, sila nag-reclaim niya. Pero wala naman there was no cause of flooding. May I know the position of the department with regard to flooding?
Makati and Pasay are flooding. Manila is
Because of
flooding.
reclamation?
Oh, sinarahan yung dadaanan ng tubig. It's common sense. Kami, may 4 na river kami lalabas sa Manila Bay. Pag isinara yon, saan pupunta yung tubig? Babalik sa amin. It will not go back to Upper Cavite because it's high. So it will stay with us. Sinabihan na kami ng Public Works, 6 to 8 meters na baha. 6 meter is 3-story building.
So the good sponsors against the reclamation?
Because we will flood. Do you want your city to
Oh, no, of course not.
Oh. Well, I mean, I cannot
Is there-
answer
is there
for
already-
Manila, for Pasay, for the others. But for me, I know our river.
Is there already a
the
study,
river.
Madam Sponsor? Is there already a study?
Sinabi
Once the
na ng Public Works sa akin 2015 pa that we will flood by 16. Nag-study
If-
na Public Works. If they close,
If
if
all
they-
these reclamation projects will push through?
No, just the reclamation in front of us. Oo. Alam mo, nagtayo na ang JICA na water impounding facility sa Bacoor because of the flooding in Bacoor, because yung hindi pa reclamation to, because yung
Cavitex.
Cavitex, instead na gawing aqueduct na lalagyan lang ng poste so the water will flow freely, tinambakan nila, tapos naglagay sila ng ano tawag doon, yung outlet na maliit. It was not enough. So, JICA has to build a water impounding facility to Bacoor at a cost of 9 billion pesos na inutang natin sa JICA. And it did not solve the flooding. Sabi sa akin ng mayor, he has to build a big exit from that water impounding facility to
Madam-
to solve the problem. It has not been solved.
But Mr. President, even before the advent of all these reclamation projects, flooding has already been a perennial problem, not only in Metro Manila, but in all areas nationwide.
Sa amin, wala kaming flooding. But we will flood.
No,
Wala
even,
kaming flooding eh. Baka sa inyo, but sa amin, wala pa kaming flooding.
well, sa amin talagang, minsan talagang,
And ang prediction
Binabaha.
ng DPWH, we will flood by 6 to 8 meters. That's a new one for us.
maybe if I can request the good sponsor to furnish me a copy of the study of the DPWH regarding the yung sinasabi niyong flooding once the reclamation projects
Last. Kasi ang nagsabi
start.
sa akin yan wala na sa DPWH.
Patay na?
No. Nag-retire na kasi panahon pa ni Pinoy eh. 'Di ba si secretary
Wala na pala.
Babe Sixpan. Siya ang nagsabi sa akin
Namatay
in 2015.
Baka we can ask
Yeah, I'll
the
ask
officials
him.
of the DPWH to
I'll ask
make a
him.
study with regard to the flooding caused
Pero
by
common
the
sense, pag
inflammation.
sinara mo yung river mo, saan pupunta yun? Okay, sara mo river mo, walang dadaanan. Saan pupunta yung
Let it be
tubig?
said, I am not for or against any reclamation projects. I'm just
Lang yun
just
eh.
asking questions here. Well, anyway, kasi mga ibang mangingisda, mga ibang fisher folks natin, minsan nagrereklamo dahil nagdidwindle daw o lumiliit daw yung kanilang mga huli dahil nga nung nag-umpisa yung reclamation. Meron ba kayong, is there any form of assistance being given to the fisher folks?
Sa mga isda, alam mo kami, yung aming legislated protected area is the spawning ground of fishes for Manila Bay. We have a 35-hectare mangrove forest in the Las Piñas, Parañaque Wetland Park, and it is the biggest spawning ground of fishes in Manila Bay. Pag sinarahan yung aming daanan ng tubig, mamamatay yung mangrove. Kasi kailangan ng mangrove ang water. So mawawala na rin yung spawning ground of fishes in Manila Bay. So yun ang noon.
Okay.
And at least sa amin, BIFAR and DA has the responsibility to look at the case of the fisher folks. At least dun sa amin, hindi nagbigay ng permit ang BIFAR to reclaim in front of our legislated protected area. But I think in the Bacoor side, they gave a permit. I don't know, but yun ang balita ko. Oh. And climate change will bring us extreme rainfall because of sea level rise. Kasi di ba, because of climate change, umiinit, natutunaw yung mga bundok na merong ice dun sa mga merong winter. And then they will go to the ocean. Kaya talaga magsi-sea level rise tayo. Pag halimbawa, hindi ba ang findings, yung Metro Manila bumababa ang soil, di ba? Because we get water from sa ilalim. And then there is a sea level rise in Manila Bay. So isang tumataas, isang bumababa after a while. Sabi nila ba, may possibility lulubog ang Metro Manila.
Okay, Madam Sponsor, will the department issue an EIA or environmental impact assessment if the reclamation will cause a closure of waterways, as what the sponsor was saying earlier.
That's why they're making the study so they can revise whatever were issued previously.
All right.
Kasi mahirap naman mag-revise tayo without a study. Baka sabihin yung ating personal opinion, yun. Ako, whenever I write a law, I ask PIDS to make a study.
So we're going to
I will
expect the
know the
study to
problem
come out?
and then I will make the solution. Ganon din sila. They will ask, they
We're
will do
going-
a study.
We're going to expect the study to come out by June, 6 months?
Yeah.
Or
Mid-year report, meron na.
so
But it's not complete, but there will be. Sabi nga nila, pina-prioritize nila yung nasimula na, di ba? Mauna yon.
mauna yun ongoing.
At saka yung ECC and area clearance review, unahin na nila yon. But
So magkakaroon ng pag-asa itong mga namuhunan dito sa reclamation project. Tama po ba? It's either
depende sa finding. Who will say? Who will find? Hindi naman PRA. OP. The OP will decide.
alright. Okay, malipat naman tayo sa ibang topic. Pagod na ho kayo? 11. Okay, one question na about
Okay.
mining. May I know the Secretary's policy about mining? It appears that as the leadership of the agency changes, the policy on mining also changes. May I know the policy about mining?
They are for responsible mining. Talaga namang ang mining is a good industry as long as it's responsible. Ang kinatatakutan lang natin yung mga illegal miners, di ba?
Ilan yun?
Ang
May I know kung ilan yung...
ratio. Pareho. Ano ratio?
May I know the current policies of the department to ensure responsible mining?
In terms of production value, 70% daw illegal miners, 30% yung legal miners.
70% are illegal miners. So what is the department doing about these illegal miners?
Informal. Kasi minsan, sasabihin nila, illegal miners, mga small miners. But you will discover that they are not small miners. The small miners are being used by the illegal miners.
We're doing now is we're using satellite technology to actually watch the different activities for prosecution and monitoring.
They are now using satellite technology to find out what are they doing in the mining, and those that are doing illegal mining will be prosecuted.
Have they prosecuted any illegal miners?
Yes, yes.
How many? How many of those number that belong to the illegal miners? 70%. How many percent have you already prosecuted?
Starting with the satellite technology, we have one apprehension, but then the oro, the boundary of Cagayan de Oro, 7%.
Okay.
70% are illegal miners.
They are just using the satellite technology recently, and they have done one apprehension in
Only
Cagayan
one?
de Oro, between Cagayan de Oro and Iligan.
It's expensive. We do not have the budget.
So you have the budget now?
Well, we're asking for the budget. It is
They need daw the budget for satellite technology because it's an expensive way of doing it.
Do you have one?
But,
Does the department have one?
that comes
Ano yung ginagamit nyo ngayon?
space agency nakikiusap.
Ginagamit nila daw yun sa Philippine Space Agency. Nakikiusap sila.
So nanghihiram lang kayo?
Nanghihiram.
Kasi I'm a bit surprised kasi 70% are illegal miners, and President Marcos has already been in office for quite some time, for more than a year. Tapos
Hindi daw necessarily illegal, informal.
well, whether it's informal or illegal, kailangan pa rin
They have no permit.
yeah.
So illegal.
Yes, the DNR should take action on this.
No permit, illegal. Sus Maria Jose.
Kawawa naman yung mga legal.
Yeah.
Di ba? I mean, the DNR should take action on this at the soonest possible time. Kasi yung mga legal, nag-apply sila ng permit, nagbabayad sila ng buwis. Ito mga illegal, wala nga permit, hindi pa sila nagbabayad ng buwis. They don't pay taxes.
Sabi nila yung enforcement bureau daw nila 30 people lang. Nung dumating si Secretary, ilan? 30 ngayon, pero before ilan? Yung dinatnan nyo, 30. Nationwide. 30 people.
Hindi na umangat yung numbers ng...
Graduate lang namin ng
So are you asking for more positions?
Yes. It's always welcome.
Well, maybe the sponsor can make that in the period of amendments.
Yeah.
Hindi, kasi I'm surprised.
Enforcement.
30 lang
Enforcement.
Pilipinas?
Oh, 30. Kaya nga sabi nilang hirap dahil 30 lang all over the Philippines.
Siguro sa next budget hearing, palagay ko, itong 70% na illegal minors, palagay ko, dapat hulihin na siguro lahat. You have to apprehend them at the soonest possible time.
We're trying to.
Ito bang mga illegal minors na ito? Ito ba yung...
Ano personal? I mean, not the
Sino ba yung nagkakagulo mo ng proposal?
Yung small scale, wala rin permit yun. That's why you have to ask them to get a permit. Diba? Ngayon, yung mga illegal minor na malaki, yun ang dapat i-prosecute.
Can we expect more apprehension from the DNR with regard to the illegal minors?
Yeah, they will try, but limited resources.
Illegal mining are causing damage to the environment, so DNR should do something about illegal logging. I think one prosecution, I think is a very dismal achievement, Mr. President. Out of the 70% illegal miners, iisa pa lang ang naprosecute ng department.
You give me the copy. They want to pass a law against anything illegal, environmental crimes, and I am asking them to give me a copy of the law so we can.
I don't think you can achieve prosecuting these illegal miners if they only have 30 people to do this inspection, Mr. President. They have to deploy more people, Mr. President.
Apart from this, also work with the ILA and with the AF.
It says here for the informal small miners, we have a project named Planet Gold. The purpose of this project is to study how these informal miners can be helped. How can they be formalized and comply with the environmental laws? The project is looking also at incentives for these informal miners to be legitimized and to help them develop. These are the small miners, but there are illegal miners who are big, so that you have to prosecute.
Ito bang mga small miners, meron mga small miners na legal?
Hindi rin, illegal din. Kasi
Meron
hindi
din
naman
mga legal.
sila
Am I correct?
marunong kumuha ng permit eh.
Yes, meron din mga legal, mga small, ano ba tawag dito? Small time miner? Small scale. Small scale mining. Meron din mga permit yan, I'm sure. Yung iba, large scale. Okay. Can you differentiate, Mr. President, yung large scale sa small scale?
Kasi yung kinuwento sa akin na isang gobernador sa Mindanao.
Kwento lang po ito.
Oo. Siguro sila nakakakita kasi sabi nila, kaya mo malalaman na large scale illegal miners, ang front nila yung small miners. Pero sa ganda naman ng mga equipment, parang hindi kaya naman bilhin ng small miners. So they are just being used as a front, but they are big miners.
So let's be specific, Mr. President. Ano yung minimina nung large scale? Ano yung minimina nung...
Kung ano yung naandun, like gold sa Zamboanga del Sur gold, di ba? Gold.
So,
Whatever is there. Iba-iba ang metal deposit eh.
Saan ang pinakamaraming minahan? Sa Zamboanga? Sa Mindanao ba? Sa
Caraga.
So that's
Especially Surigao del Norte, no?
Meron din tayo. So, pinakang bayan para sa talaga
Ito ang tawag daw sa maliliit, small scale mining, they call it minahang bayan.
Minahang bayan.
Oo.
Yung mga malalaki, ano tawag po?
Illegal miner. as differentiated from legal miners. Marami namang legal miners, especially the public companies na nagma-mining. They are
Palawan meron din, di ba?
meron din.
Palawan meron.
Ano rin, Cam Norte, di ba?
Large scale.
Cam Norte, marami.
Ano yung pinimina na nickel? Doon sa Palawan, nickel lang.
And then Surigao, meron din sa
Ano minimina sa Surigao?
Zamboanga del Sur, Zamboanga del Norte.
Nickel din?
diba? Ay, no, yeah, Zamboanga del Norte. Sa Caraga, marami talaga. Oo. And then sa Region 12, marami din. Nandun ang Tampakan, nandun din ang ano.
Pwede bang malaman, sino yung pinakamalaking minahan? Sino may-ari?
Functioning na minahan. Ano?
Felix Lepanto and
Felix, Lepanto, and Benguet. So,
Felix, Lepanto,
and Benguet.
Benguet. Yung Rio 2 ba?
Laki din. For nickel daw, Rio Tuba.
Taganito. Taganito, which is in Surigao. Some things tama.
If you want, they can give you a map of where the mines are, kung saang mga lugar at sino ang mga pangalan ng mines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, one last question, Mr. President. Madam Sponsor mentioned about Project Gold, which would incentivize
Planet Gold.
Planet Gold, all right. Which would incentivize small scale mining. Tama po ba ito narinig ko?
No?
It would incentivize small scale miners, mining.
So, they want to formalize para maging legal yung small miners and give incentives.
Di ba
And
sinasabi ko?
teach them how to be responsible environmentally.
All right. Well, violators or those who commit illegal mining should be penalized, whether they are of small or large scale.
Yeah.
And I think they should not be given incentives. Am I correct?
That's why we are going to try to yung parang legitimize and then give them incentives.
And there's nothing that
You are going to legitimize the illegal miners. Am I correct?
The small ones.
Yeah, yung
Small
small
ones,
scale.
yung minahang bayan, because they're very poor, you want to incentivize them to be legal and then give them incentives. This is for small miners.
Yes.
They call
How
it
many-
Planet Gold.
President,
But the
how
big
many are-
ones, no.
How many are small miners?
There are 56 daw minahang bayan
56 all around the country.
all around the country. Saan pinakamarami? Surigao talaga.
Surigao, talaga. Okay. That's all, Mr. President. Thank you for your patience, Madam Sponsor.
You're welcome. Thank you. Ito na naman, kala ko hindi na ito magkakan.
Teka.
We will, anyway, Mr. President, could I be recognized, Mr. President?
Sabi
Anyway,
mo
this
sa-
is my,
Before that, what is the majority leader? Yes.
okay na po, pwede na tayong tuloy-tuloy.
We just recognize. Thank you, Senator Ejercito, Senator Estrada, and we recognize the minority leader,
Thank you.
Senator
you.
Coco Pimentel.
Anyway, we want to
43 na kasi natutuliro na tayo.
tell the sponsor to not worry. This is also my 12th hour of interpellation. So it's taking its toll on me also, Mr. President. So hingi na lang kami rin copy nung the map that was promised,
Yeah.
Senator Jinggoy. All senators kung pwede. And then yung 30 staff, ano yun? Is that the EMB? No,
May mining.
what goes after the illegal miners ba? What unit?
Di ba
is
may
that?
mining unit?
Law?
Law enforcement unit.
Okay, sige po. So yun. Para kung sakaling mga gustong tumulong sa department, doon ang tutukan. Okay. From the... What's
Ano
the...
itong Mines and Geosciences Bureau? Wala to dito.
nga, mine, tama, NGB. Oh.
May separate daw ang enforcement. Saan naka, yun?
Saan nakalaan sa LM?
Office of the Secretary daw. Under the Office of the Secretary. It's enforcement under the Office of the
Even yung
Secretary.
30 personnel.
Yes, yes.
But si MGB meron sariling personnel. Wala
Yes,
silang,
yes.
but do they concern themselves with the
Enforcement,
running after
yeah.
illegal miners?
Permitting and then coordinate with the enforcement.
Hindi.
They just coordinate with the enforcement.
Yan, PNP mo. Sabi.
So,
Kasali din daw ang AFP at PNP and NBI.
how come the department cannot do what the the MGB is doing? Yung ganun. Yung parang may force multiplier ka sa 30 personnel nyo by involving the NBI, PNP, AFP.
We're doing that.
You're doing that. Pero kulang.
Yeah, they're doing that.
Sige. Basta wish list yun, parang additional. I have a question to the Secretary, Mr. President, but she's being kept busy by our colleagues. Can I ask for a minute suspension in that case, Mr. President?
No.
My question is for the Secretary. I want her estimate of the total value of our metal deposits.
Then, di ba 3 trillion?
No, well, ayoko na, I want the department's estimate, Mr. President.
Then sila nagsabi sa akin nun.
Yeah, is that correct?
$3 trillion.
Sandali lang po.
May sinabi kayo eh. No?
Is that the department's estimate of the country's total
Sabi,
metallic, or mineral or metals deposits?
Yeah. Hindi ba parang sinabi sa akin, trillion eh. $1 trillion eh. Ano yun? Hindi nyo na-memorize? 7 trillion?
Others, batalo and nalala.
Bilisan ko lang. Ibilisan ko. Sila yung napagyan eh.
$1 trillion ang sinabi sa akin. Ito lang.
Untap, yung untap po.
Oh.
So this is mineral metallic lang.
Oh.
Alam mo itong tanong ko na ito. Tinanong ko na siya. I-compare yung sagot nila sa sagot niya. Para alam natin.
Total, yung total. Ay. Yung total kasi hindi makita yung total eh. Wala kayong hard copy. Total. Hindi makita yung total. Total. Kung nakita ang total sa ilalim, ano ang total?
Sabi na.
Tingnan mo. Pag pinabayaan ko sa sponsor yung sagot sa sponsor. Kailan ako officials na nandiyan. Nagduda nga ako sa video na binigay. Kaya ako tinatanong.
Okay.
Ayoko yung...
Economic yan. Contributions na rin. Contributions na yan.
Ito pesos. Wala pa yung non-metallic. Mr. President,
Wala
pinatay
tayong
ba?
presiding.
Suspended ba?
Wala tayong presiding. Suspended.
Anyway, I can just tell you. Almost 1.2 trillion US dollars.
1.2 trillion US dollars. Okay. Trillion US dollars. So, okay, so at least that
Sabihin ko na.
corrects the figure mentioned earlier, Mr. President.
Pero yung budget po.
During our committee hearing, we learned that the DNR allows the importation of hazardous waste. Siguro, let me just, sinabi nyo, conditioned on the materials being used for the production of another product, you allow this to be imported.
Recycling.
Let me caution nyo naman, wag naman po sana namang importation of hazardous waste. Alam mo naman dito sa Pilipinas, marami tayong mga so-called cover story. Ilagay natin sa quotation marks. We do things under legal cover, but in reality, it's not. We use them not in accordance with law. Ang nakakatakot dito, baka maging tambakan po tayo ng mga hazardous waste, Mr. President. So I just asked the DNR to review your policy.
No, they have there is a new there's a new there is a new convention agreement on the control of transboundary wastes. And Philippines is a party to this. They call it the Basel Convention, and in 1994 we ratified that Basel Ban Amendment. But in 2019 there is another amendment to the Basel Convention, but we haven't ratified it, so we will try to ratify it this year. The DNR-USEC for Policy Planning and International Affairs will be working for this. So marami namang control on transboundary waste and we internationally. So we are going to cooperate with them.
Thank you for mentioning the 1994 agreement and then the 2019. Pero yung admission kasi that we are allowing the importation of hazardous waste happened just 2 months ago at the latest, Mr. President, during our budget hearing. So mag-ingat lang po tayo because dito nga sa Pilipinas, once we allow the entry of something na abuso, example, pogo, legal, ginawa sa illegal, mga ganun, same thing. Papasok tayo na hazardous material sa ano daw, ito be recycled. We will be the dumping ground of hazardous waste, Mr. President.
No, we will
Ingat lang po
confirm
tayo.
the amendment to the Basel Bond Amendment, and DNR is completing the certificate of concurrence from DPWH, DTI, PESA, etc. And once completed, the same will be endorsed to DFA so that we can, I think it will pass through the Senate, diba? So we can do something about it by passing this Basel Convention Amendment. Basel Bond Amendment of
Yeah,
2019.
but don't use that our non-adherence as the reason why we're allowing importation of hazardous waste.
Yeah,
I don't
but-
think hindi naman dependent dun yun. That's your executive action or administrative action, Mr. President, sa DNR. Okay, pagdating po sa personnel ninyo, we have also one licensed forester for every 514 hectares. So, paano ba ito? Itong foresters, are foresters under the employ of the DNR?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, so
Yeah.
meron din tayong ano diyan, we have a medium to long term plan for the hiring of foresters.
On forest rangers sila It's referring to forest rangers.
There are two kinds,
Apo.
the forester and the forest ranger. The forest ranger is the one watching over the legislated protected area or the other protected area. The forester is the one taking care of the trees.
Apo.
Diba? So what do you want?
Which are the ones in the employ of the department?
Pare. Both are in the
Pareho.
employed. Oh.
Yeah, so we have a ratio na 1 is to certain hectares. So yun yung ating situation, and we have siguro an ideal din. 1 is to a certain number of hectares as the ideal.
What's the average?
Ano tayo? How far are we from the ideal?
Very far.
Yes, very far.
What
So
Now, right now, yun ang current.
minamadali na lang.
Ours, the ratio for us is 1 for every 4,000 hectares.
As
And
to
the
forester?
ideal is the
One
one for every 2,000 hectares. So we're
1 is to 4,000 si forester.
yes.
1 is to 2,000 si forest ranger.
No, ma'am, it's the same.
Huh?
Sir, forest ranger lang.
Forest ranger lang.
Ideal is 1 to 1.
The ideal is 1 for every 2,000 hectares. Ours now is 1 for every 4,000
Ito
hectares.
yung ating seat condition. Okay.
This is the forest ranger, the one watching over the
Okay.
protected area. Yung forester, yun yung nagtatanim ng mga trees, taking care of the trees. So,
We don't have forester in our plantilla for DNR.
what
Oh, we do. So what is our walang ideal dyan. We don't talk about any ideals pagdating sa forester. So ito sinyo, itong sinasabi niyo. Forest.
We have 14,000 forester, but 1/3 is only working for the government. The rest are private.
Sige, okay.
Oh, so 14,000 divided by 3 is 4,500 ang working
you.
for the government.
Thank you, ma'am. And ito na lang po, we noticed that yung target ninyo for end of 2022 for decreasing illegal logging hotspots was 50%. Siguro that means you had a number of illegal logging hotspots. Gusto nyo i-reduce to 50% by end of 2022. You only achieved 11%. Are my figures correct? And can you give us the explanation?
It's 50% by 2028.
Oh, okay.
Oo, which is about 5 years from now. Oh.
Okay, so wrong.
11% accomplishment by 2022 instead of 50%. The target of indicator, percentage of illegal logging hotspots neutralized to decrease the number of hotspot area by 50% by the end of 2028. 11% lang tayo ngayon. Ang target natin 50% by 2028, which is 5 years from now.
Anyway, thank you for that explanation. But for our supporting documents, Mr. President, yung net performance information natin, DNR, outcome indicators, percentage of illegal logging hotspot areas neutralized. GA 2022 GA targets. By the end of 2022, illegal logging hotspots decreased by 50%. Actual, sa volume na actual, decreased by 11%. So,
11.
sa inyo rin po galing ito. Page, ano to? Ano to volume? Sabihin sa akin so that you can. So, So we are on the spot changing our targets. So, sige. At any rate, you will not be the first agency to change targets, Mr. President.
No, they are not. It's 11%, which is
Page 68 of volume 2 of ano to? Of the expenditure program fiscal year 2024. Pakitingin nyo na lang po so that but do not worry nga, ang ulitin ko, you will not be the first agency which will change its targets, Mr. President.
Okay, that's just a very straight the target.
Sa 2022 to 2023,
Wala nakasulat.
ang baseline natin is
18.
18. So, 18 nating baseline. So, we intend to neutralize one na po figure
80.
by 50%. Like
Ah.
20.
So yung report, ma'am. Decreased by 11 by the end of 2028 by 50%. Ito yung report niyo.
It says here in 2023, decreased by 11%. By the end of 2028, illegal logging hotspot will decrease by 50%. Ayan.
This is the Tina Garcia Frasco. We also would like to recognize and move to recognize the distinguished sponsor of the measure, the chairperson of the Senate Committee on Tourism, Senator Nancy Binay, who sponsored the measure.
Yes, we'd like to recognize Secretary Cristina Frasco, my comadre. Thank you for being with us, patiently waiting. And to the sponsors, Senator Nancy Binay, please proceed, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. The proposed appropriations for the Department of Tourism and its attached agencies and corporations under Senate Finance Committee report on House Bill number 8980 or the fiscal year 2024 General Appropriations Bill amounts to 3,339,155,000 pesos. The distribution of the proposed appropriations is as follows. The Department of Tourism proper, 2,454,434,000 pesos for the Office of the Secretary, 123,034,000 pesos for the Intramuros Administration, 317,514,000 pesos for the National Parks Development Committee, and 14,173,000 pesos for the Philippine Commission on Sports Scuba Diving. And under the budgetary support to government corporations, 20 million pesos for the Tourism Infrastructure and Enterprise Zone Authority, and 410 million pesos for the Tourism Promotions Board. Thank you, Mr. President, esteemed colleagues.
Mr. President, the gentleman from San Juan, Senator Jinggoy Estrada, is seeking the floor. I move that he be recognized, Mr.
My
President.
distinguished colleague from the city of San Juan, the body.
Mr. President,
There's a motion,
suspension.
session suspended for 1 minute. So, Mr. Majority Floor Leader,
Mr. President.
better that we allow the head of the agency.
That's what I'm going to move, Mr. President. To move that we suspend the rules of the Senate to allow the head of the agency to take the floor, Mr. President. I so move, Mr. President.
There be no objection to the motion. Motion is approved. So the rules are suspended to allow the secretary to sit down and on behalf of your agency, maybe explain.
Good morning, Mr. Senate President,
Good morning,
and
ma'am.
to the members of the Senate. First of all, allow me to express my gratitude for your service to our country and to make things quite clear that the Department of Tourism fully respects the constitutionally mandated duty of the Senate to deliberate upon the budget of all agencies, including the DOT. We respect your mandate, we respect your discretion, and we fully appreciate your exercise of your duty even now to the wee hours of the morning. That being said, I share in your shock and dismay at the highly inappropriate, unacceptable, and out-of-line actions of the head of the Philippine Retirement Authority, the recently appointed GM Cynthia Carrion, who, at the beginning of this day, also actually approached me and demanded that we be placed first as far as the schedule of the deliberations of the budget, to which I immediately replied to her to say that we cannot do that because the Senate is an independent body and we must fully respect their schedule, their discretion, their time. We wait like everybody else because we are in their house. Notwithstanding that, imagine my shock and complete and utter disappointment when I learned that she, in defiance of what I had been very clear to her about, proceeded to send these inappropriate text messages. Upon my learning of these actions, as brought to my attention by Senator Nancy Binay, to whom I am very grateful for letting me know, I demanded that she issue an immediate and personal apology to all of the senators, including the good Senate President, for having acted at the height of impropriety, and also to make very clear that she acted on her own and without the imprimatur of the Department of Tourism or any other attached agency or official of the DOT. That being said, Mr. Senate President, she earlier apologized personally to the senators. Nevertheless, as a tacit manifestation of our commitment to set things right, I have already ordered my Chief of Staff to immediately conduct an investigation into her actuations and subsequent findings of the same to mete out the appropriate penalty that is appropriate to the impropriety of her actions. To close, since I am the head of the Department of Tourism, of which the PRA is an attached agency, I would just like to emphasize our due respect to the Senate and to your exercise of your duty. We yield to your discretion, and we thank you for your patience. Daghang salamat.
Thank you very much, dear Secretary. And I accept the apology that she gave earlier. We just wanted to put it on record so that the other agencies would know. And all the other
Samoa between CHR and the event organizers.
Mr. President,
other retirement incentives. It appears that compared to the other civil servants in the region, Filipino civil servants retire later than the others based on CSC data. Among our peers in Southeast Asia, the Philippines has in fact one of the oldest retirement age, pegged at 60 years old and 65 years old. Kumpara sa ibang bansa na pwedeng kasing baba ng 40 taon. Itong parehas ng bilang ito ay nag-uudyok sa atin na sumunod sa pamantayang ito. Ayon din po sa ulat na naitala ng World Bank, tayong mga Pilipino ay may life expectancy o edad na inaasang tumagal ang buhay ng 72 taon lamang o higit na mas mababa sa ating mga karatig bansa sa ASEAN gaya ng Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand at Vietnam na umabot sa edad na 76 hanggang 84 na taon. Halos kalahati o isang dekada lamang ang agwat niyan sa edad ng kasalukuyang edad ng pagre-retiro. Wala tayong kasiguruhan kung ilan ang tatanda higit sa edad na yan. With this data on hand, indeed, we have to do something so that those who wish to enjoy their retirement earlier and have a longer life to spend with their family and loved ones will have that option. We maintain that the trend here in the region is a low optional retirement age and stress that we cannot compare ourselves with other countries increasing the retirement age, especially when we have a young and growing population. Marami tayong batang kababayan na posibleng maging bahagi ng ating labor force kumpara sa ibang karatig bansa natin na mas marami na ang nasa aging population. And with this measure, we will be opening doors to this younger population, who wish to become part of government service. Wala po tayong talo dito, Mr. President. When we lower the retirement age, the GSIS will not die simply because their separation will mean the entry of new and younger Filipinos who will be given the chance to share their talents to the nation. Hindi po mababawasan ang mga contributors ng GSIS dahil siguradong may hahalili po sa kanilang iiwanang posisyon para maliwanag po. At sa kanilang pagtahak sa buhay retirado, mabibigyan din natin ng pagkakataon ang mga bagong sibol na makapagtatrabaho para sa ating hanay. Siguradong mayroong mga bagong papasok na may kaparehong sipag at tiyaga sa paglilingkod sa ating mga kababayan. Hindi tayo magkakaroon ng malawakang kawalan ng kawani. Bagkus ay nagbibigay tayo ng oportunidad sa iba ang nais maisama sa hanay ng mga lingkod bayan. Magandang mapag-isipan ang maging bunga ng pagpapaaga ng 4 na taon para sa kwalipikado na sa optional retirement. Paniguradong win-win po ito. May lalaan nila ang dagdag na panahong ito sa kanilang mga pamilya at para sa sarili na malayo sa work-related stress. Tumatakbo ang ating oras at mahalaga ang bawat sandali kasama ng ating mga mahal sa buhay. Hindi naman po katapusan ang kahulugan ng pagre-retiro. Kasama din sa opsyon nila ang maging produktibo sa iba pang bagay, hobbies o ibang passion nila. Naway kasama nila tayo na maitulak ang kanilang hangaring matamasa ang bunga ng kanilang pagtatrabaho habang kaya pa ang kanilang mga tuhod. Ika nga, let them enjoy their pension while they are able to enjoy it. Hangad ko na hindi na nila kailangan maging baldado o magkaroon ng malubhang sakit para lamang mabigyan sila ng karapatan sa mas pinaagang edad ng pagre-retiro. Muli, bilang isang deliberative body, inahain ko ang isang panukalang matagal ng panawagan ng ating mga kawani sa pamahalaan. At nagpapasalamat po tayo sa overwhelming support para sa committee ito na nagkaroon tayo ng 21 bilang na nalagda. Kaya again, Mr. President, thank you very much sa lahat ng sumuporta. Mabuhay po kayo. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Revilla, Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, before we suspend consideration of this measure, we'd just like to put on record, Mr. President, that several members of this August Chamber, including this representation, who has been filing this very important measure since this representation became a member of this August Chamber. We have become close friends with some of our...
During our last session, I attended. I tried. Pero namaga yung paa eh.
Ano ni majority?
So it's okay, Mr. President. Kahit na mabulok yung paa dito, no problem. Para sa bayan.
You know, under Senator Soto, hindi ganun.
Pare, pastusan na tayo dito eh. Nire-respeto kita.
Don't do that to yourself. Are you in coma? You're not in coma.
At the risk of...
You know, under Senator Soto, hindi ganun.
Pare, pastusan na tayo dito eh. Nire-respeto kita.
Dinner with the President. Ano po ba ang napag-usapan? Meron po bang kinalaman sa reunion sa Senate leadership? Or ano pong direktiba ng pag-usapan?
Direktiba?
Opo, meron po ba siyang pinili?
Ba, hindi niya pwedeng utusan ng senador. Magkahiwalay kami ng ano lang yun. Una, bismillah. A'udhu billahi minasyaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yung pong paanyaya ng ating mahal na Pangulo. Lagi naman po yan, magmula po nang ako ay naging senador, lagi pong may paanyaya ang Pangulo para makasama siya sa hapunan. Pero wala po doon na nangyari na pinag-usapan ang nangyari sa Senado at hindi rin po napag-usapan kung kami ay uutusan niya dahil hindi naman po kami siguro dapat niyang utusan dahil hindi naman po kami sa ilalim niya. Yung pong dinner ay may kinalaman lang sa kwentuhan. Wala pong pinag-usapan na patungkol po sa Senado. Wala po.
Ang event charter change.
Wala po. Kung meron pong magbabanggit nun, ako yun. Pero hindi ko naman po nabanggit. Kasi parang casual po na nakakahiya naman magbanggit ng politika. Yung pinag-uusapan, mga anak ko. Tinatanong ng Pangulo, kamusta yung mga anak ko, kamusta yung asawa ko. So parang ang hirap po magpasok ng politika.
Ang nag-signal daw po sir ng kulita against Senator Page is yung quote-unquote artista blanker, which is yung mga lawmakers na dating naging artista. Ang nag-trigger daw nun sir ay yung hindi daw po papayag ni Senator Page na mag-attend virtually si Senator Padilla dahil sa kabukan ng wound niya sa paa. Do you confirm this sir na kayo po or may some sort of naging factor po yun sa pagka-out ng Senator?
Una sa lahat, wala akong reklamo kay Senate President Migs as the Senate President. Wala akong sutuhanan sumusunod ako dyan Okay naman si Migs Yung nangyari, alam nyo, kami ng PDP, 4 kaming PDP. Okay, ako, Senator Bongo, Senator Bato, Senator Tolentino. Kami ay isang, kaya ang boto namin ay isa lang. Naiintindihan ko si Senator Bato kung bakit nagkaroon ng naging emosyonal siya sa pangyayari. Kasi talaga namang para sa akin, at alam ko naman yung nangyari dahil ako ang acting presidente ng PDP. Alam ko kung ano yung nangyari sa aming block. Sa aming block kasi, hindi pwedeng maghiwa-hiwalay. Kung ano yung boto ng isa, dapat yun ang boto ng lahat. Kaya nung kinausap namin si Bato, wala naman siyang nagawa. Wala na siyang nagawa. Kasi kailangan mamili siya, partido, o yung kanyang matatawag natin na pakikisama kay SP, mix. Siyempre, nanaig yung pagiging party man niya. Kasi yun ang adhikain ng PDP. Kailangan sumunod ka sa sinasabi ng partido. Yun po ang napagdesisyonan namin. Kaya yung artista black o anong black yan, hindi po. Partido po namin ito ng PDP.
Pero, bakit po nag-bump up yung na-supportahan Senator Escudero as
Siguro po, ang pwede natin tanungin dyan, yung mga veterano dito sa Senado. Kasi kung ang ganyang mga hakbang, hindi po yan pwedeng mag-umpisa sa amin na mga neophyte. Ano? So, siguro sinabi naman din po ni Senator Chis Escudero, yung ating SP ngayon, na sinabi naman po niya na siya talaga ang nag-umpisa ng mga hakbang, siya ang kumausap sa mga senador. Opo, kaya siguro po sila na lang po ang tanungin natin, yung mga veterano po dito. Siguro ito po para kasi hindi naman po naging unfair sa amin si SP Migs Siguro sa amin na lang po yung rason namin na sabi nga ni SP Cheese yung mga ganitong mga pangyayari, hindi naman tayo kailangan magpaliwanag. Sabi niya, basta kung ano yung rason natin, yun na yun. Basta ako, ito po ay desisyon ng partido. Hindi po ito isang desisyon ng isang tao. Kung ano man ang sana ang inihingi namin, wag naman masyadong kawawa naman si Bato. Kasi wala namang kasalanan si Bato. Si Bato sumunod lang sa partido. Sana maintindihan natin na meron pa dito sa Pilipinas na mga totoong partido politikal na talagang sama-sama.
May I take the
Yes.
floor?
Yes, our distinguished colleague from
I
Cavite.
just want to let you, to inform the body, hindi po tayo nagpapaawa dito, This is just a mere parang consideration. Ako, I don't mind for humanitarian reason. I mean, ako, I don't mind. Ako so far, in the past two Congress, perfect attendance ang inyong likod. Never been late, never been absent. Sino ba namang gustong umabsent dito? That's why I want to be online.
Present during hearings. I'm referring, Mr. President, to the Honorable Senator Ramon Bong Revilla. Lagi ko po nakikita rito na may kulang na lang po wheelchair, Mr. President.
Well, with due respect to our distinguished colleague, the rules is very explicit. We only amended the rules for online sessions for COVID infected individuals or those that have contagious diseases, COVID, TB, Ebola, pagka ganyan, pwede yan online or is bedridden. We're relaxed. But the rules is very specific. It is only for contagious diseases. But due to humanitarian reasons, because he had his operation last week that he could not stand up, we allowed it. However, he attended a political party rally in Manila Polo Club, was seen by everybody standing beside our president, and therefore he seems fit to be able to join us. And he joined us last Wednesday. To be very fair about it, he did join us last Wednesday. So I leave it now to the majority leader to make the proposition.
Yeah, Mr. President, just to put on record, if
Mr. President, may I take the
Yes.
floor?
Yes, our distinguished colleague from
I
Cavite.
just want to let you, to inform the body, hindi po tayo nagpapaawa dito, This is just a mere parang consideration. Ako, I don't mind for humanitarian reason. I mean, ako, I don't mind. Ako so far, in the past 2 Congress, perfect attendance ang inyong lingkod. Never been late, never been absent. Sino ba namang gustong umabsent dito? That's why I want to be online. During our last session, I attended. I tried. Pero, namaga yung paa eh.
Alam mo ni majority.
So it's okay, Mr. President. Kahit na mabulok yung paa dito, no problem. Para sa bayan.
Yeah, just a reminder, Your Honor, no? I've had a perfect attendance since 1998. I have not been absent from session since 1998. For the record, I must have the longest record of appearance in the legislature. Well, times I'm sick, times I don't feel good, times I'm also bugbog sa trabaho, but I try to make it a point to be here to show our commitment. But the rules is very clear, and I leave it back to our chairman of the Committee on Rules to make the motion or the manifestation so that we are clear with the rules. You know, under Senator Soto, hindi ganun.
Pastusan na tayo dito eh. Nire-respeto kita.
Don't do that to yourself. Are you in coma? You're not in coma.
At the risk of...
You know, under Senator Soto, hindi ganun.
Pastusan na tayo dito eh. Nire-respeto kita.
Pinipigilan na siya ng ibang mga senator. Kasi nagsasalita doon yung Senate Chief Subiri. Ayaw niyang payagan. Alam mo, yung mga ibang senador ang nagtatanggol kay Bong Revilla. Sinasabi, sandali, intindihin naman natin ito. Kasi dahilan daw ni Subiri, naka-attend ka ng isang event, bakit di ka maka-attend dito sa Senate? Sinasabi nga ho nila, dahil doon sa event na inatinan niya, namaga yung paa niya. Okay? So, pumunta pa rin si Bong Revilla. Nagpunta pa rin siya. Okay? Tapos, nung pagpunta niya, sinabi niya na kung pwede yung susunod para gumaling. Kasi habang iginagalaw mo yan, namamaga yan, ibig sabihin, lalong tatagal yung healing process niya. Lalong tatagal yung paggaling. Kaya nga, kesa na itulog mo ng isang, halimbawa, pag may sakit ka, itutulog mo ng isang malupitang tulog para gumaling ka na. Kesa dun sa hindi ka natutulog, tuloy-tuloy mo pa rin yung trabaho mo. Lalong hindi gagaling. So nagpunta na nga siya dyan para ipakita na willing naman ako pumunta, pero yung mga kapwa senador niya ay nagsasabi na wag na natin munang paatinin ito dito, pwede naman siyang i-zoom. Ngayon, parang napikon ata ito si Subiri na parang nagdi-disagree sa kanya yung ibang mga senador. Parang kinakabayan si Bong Revilla. Ngayon, hindi pa nakatiis si Subiri, nilapitan niya pa. Bastos din talaga eh. Hindi. Sabi nga eh, hanggang hindi ka daw nakukoma, gago ka pala. Antay mo pa talaga makoma bago hindi umatin yung tao. Pag nakoma na yan, hindi na talaga makakatin yan forever. So yun lang ang dahilan noon, kailangan mo koma pa yung tao para hindi siya makatin. Pag nakoma yan, wala na yan, dapat nang palitan yan. Hindi na yan capable na maging senador kung nakoma yan. Diba? Anong tawag niyo dyan? Ito si Subiri. Talaga nga namang medyo no? Hindi ko alam kung napipikon siya dahil ayaw sumunod nung pinagtanggol ng mga ibang senador si Bong Revilla. Pinagtanggol kasi. Pag makikita niyo yung buong video, pinagtanggol yung ibang senador ito si Bong Revilla. Sinasabi nila na, bigyan naman natin ng ano yung tao. Hindi naman biro yan eh. Major operation yan. Panoorin niyo pa ito ha. Paulit-ulitin natin. Alam mo, muntik-muntigan na siya dito. Kapapanood ko pa naman yung mga action film ni Bong Revilla. Pag sumapak yung gumaganon-ganon yun. Talagang nilapitan niya pa. May koma ka ba? Hindi, alam mo yung, minsan talaga, English lang to, kaya mukhang sosyal. Pero pag tinagalog mo, may koma ka ba? Doon ka lang mag-absent pag may koma ka. Pag na-koma ka, doon ka lang mag-absent. Pag wala, wag muna. Ganun kabastos yun. Instead na, alam mo yun, I understand. Kasi meron na nga, ikaw kaya. Sabihin ka ng ganun, di ba? May sakit ka na nga. Nagpapaalam ka kung sakali, pwede ba i-zoom na lang. Dito nga sinabi niya, hindi, okay lang kahit hindi na. Kaya lang, pinaglaban si Bong Revilla ng ibang mga senador eh. Sasabihin mo doon sa tao may sakit. Bakit? Nakoma ka na ba? Pag nakoma ka na, tsaka ka na huwag pumunta dito ha. Pag hindi pa, diretso. Kasi alam mo kung bakit. Balita ko kasi, noong January pa lang, meron nang nangangamoy na kudita. Pero hindi si Chis Escudero, si Jinggoy. Si Jinggoy, siyempre kaibigan ni Bong Revilla. So may girian na between Jinggoy and Subiri na nakatago lang, hindi masyado napapansin. At siyempre, lahat ng kaibigan ni Jinggoy, niyayari nito ni Subiri. Tayo wala tayong kinakampihan dito Wala tayong kinakampihan dito. Ang atin lang dito, medyo to si Subiri, bait-baitan pagkaharap ng media. Di ba parang ang bait-bait niya na parang alam mo yung si Edo Manzanong style? Mabait si Edo Manzano Ibig sabihin, bakit si Edo Manzano? Mabait si Edo Manzano sa personal Di ba sa pelikula, parang mabait siya tapos siya pala yung magiging kontrabida? Kasi yung itsura niya parang mabait, pero nagiging kontrabida. Parang gano'n si Subiri. Di ba? Si Subiri pala, parang ganyan. Nung ang bait-bait, di ba sinasabi niya pa nga lagi sa media na kilala niyo ako. Ako ang pinaka, friendly sa inyo. Ako yung pinaka, maano sa inyo. Yun lang pala dun sa Di ba? Hindi naman pala pambira. Sabi nito, kahit saan paikot-ikutin, mali si Subiri. Oo, mali talaga. O sabi nito, huwag na si Edo Manzano, si Paulo Contis na lang. Ang sample. Hindi. Pasensya na, hindi ko kasi kapanahunan si Paulo Contis Kapanahunan ko yung mga panahon nila Eddie Garcia, Edo Manzano. Si Edo Manzano magaling yan pagka naging bida, parang ang bait, di ba? Pero pag naging kontrabida yan, may pelikula si Edo Manzano at saka si Bong Revilla Parang na kung saan si Edo Manzano kontrabida, tapos si Bong Revilla yung bida. Grabe, no? Panoorin ba natin? Alam mo, buti nga dito sinabi na ni Bong Revilla, tama na. Nakakabastos ka na. Instead na sinagot niya na, hintay mo pa ako makoma bago Sabi, putang ina. Ganun na pala dito. Kailangan mo nang makoma ako. Ano to? Buti niya hindi humirit yan asa na yung yung 12 billion. Balita pa nga namin 15 billion Yung 12 billion napunta sa Comelec. Buti hindi siya humirit ng ganun Buti na lang. Mas musa na tayo dito Hindi na respeto Nakikita niyo yung ibang mga senador, nasyak sila kay Subiri kasi bastos Jay Guevara, galit na galit ka na naman kay Maharlika, yari ka na naman, sasabihin na naman nila, diniktahan kita. Ba't ka ba galit kay Maharlika? Mamaya meron na kayo paparinig sa'yo, ha? Pero paparinig ko rin dito. Mamaya na yan. Kailan ba ito nangyari kay Zubiri? Siya pa ang Senate President nito eh. I think 2 days before mangyari yung kudita. Pero hindi talaga ito ang dahilan. Hindi ito ang dahilan. Kaya lang lumabas ito ngayon, nag-trending tong video na to. Kasi nga po, yung iba yung pinapakitang mukhang mabait. Si Zubiri sa publiko, pero hindi ba may paiyak-iyak pa. Bayani pa siya. Hindi naman pala ganun ang tunay niyang kulay pag nasa Senado. From Edo Manzano, nagiging Paulo Cortez daw. O sabi nito, Banat, ba yayakap ka rin ba sa misis ni Zubiri given the chance? No. Sa misis ni Cheese, pwede pa. Huwag gano'n, hindi na siya ang Senate President eh. Ang yayakapin ko lang. Yung